In the midst of this communist paranoia, there were two spy cases that added to fear that was spreading like an epidemic across the country. The first of these cases has to do with a guy named Alger Hiss. Now, in 1948, Hiss was accused of spying for the Soviet Union, and there was this microfilm of government documents that had claimed to have been typed on Hiss's typewriter. Now, too many years had passed for the government prosecutors to charge Hiss with espionage. That's a fancy word for spying. But a jury convicted him for perjury or for lying under oath, and they sent him to prison. The reason why this is so infamous now is because one of the congressmen that were pushing this case, his name was Richard Nixon. And within 4 years of the highly publicized case, Nixon was elected vice president of the United States. Hiss proclaimed his innocence, but there were some Soviet documents released in the 1990 that seemed to prove Hiss's guilt. The more infamous trial, however, has to do with the Rosenbergs. Okay, so in September of 1949, Americans learned that the Soviet Union had exploded an atomic bomb. And most experts at the time predicted it would take the Soviets 3 to 5 more years to make the bomb. So people began to wonder if communist supporters in the US had leaked the secrets for how the bomb could be made. In 1950, there was a German-born physicist named Klaus Fuchs, and he admitted to giving the Soviet Union information. And as this information was probed, two names that came up in the case were Ethel and Julius Rosenberg, and these were minor activists in the Communist Party. Now, they were asked directly if they were communists, and the Rosenbergs denied the charges against them, and they pled the Fifth Amendment, and that's where they choose not to incriminate themselves. They claimed they were being persecuted for being Jewish and holding radical beliefs. But despite an outcry internationally, the Rosenbergs were found guilty of espionage and sentenced to death. And the judge in the case declared their crime worse than murder.